Well, good afternoon, Hanan. Thank you for joining me today, and thank you for finally seeing you again, if only virtually and not at a conference in person.
I know. It's a pleasure to be with you, Axel. Thank you for having me. Thank you and ACADEM and the team to invite me to this discussion. Looking forward to it.
Well, with pleasure, and obviously it was a natural choice thinking of you for this current topic of the Knowledge Bar, which focuses on various stories from the MENA region, so Africa and the Middle East, and I think it's fair to say you being quite the expert on Africa and what's happening in business education, higher education on the continent. So really looking forward to what you have to say, but before we dig in with some more detailed questions, would you mind sharing a bit about your current role at ESEG and what you do when it comes to Africa development?
Yes, sure. So first of all, thank you. I'm humbled by your opinion of me as an expert, but it is for sure a passion of mine, and it's been for the past decade and a little bit more that I've had the chance to work in business education in Africa, and just like you said, hey, there's no other place where it has more impact than Africa. So it really has a different meaning and a different impact, and I feel very grateful and lucky to be working in this industry, in this environment. So my name is Hanane Kouari. I'm Moroccan, based in Paris, born and raised in Casablanca, and ended up in business education environment, like I said, for the past decade. My current role at ESEG School of Management, we have a campus in Lille and in Paris, is head of Africa development. So my job is within the international relations team that's run by Antonio Gianqueco, and we also work very closely with all of the ESEG I will say stakeholders, of course, the development team, also with Marta Vasquez and other colleagues of ours. And our purpose and our mission has always been to support and to lift the standards of education in Africa. So how do we do it? Mostly through double degree programs, empowering programs, mentoring programs. We've always had the choice not to open a campus outside of France, but to build strong, authentic alliances with our partners. And that's always been our added value, is that we build from scratch. We do trust the partners, and we build double degree programs, triple programs. Maybe we can discuss that later. But when it comes to Africa, this really been our main focus. So for the past, I will say 7 years, we've been very focused all over Africa, I will say, not just the Francophone Africa. As you know, most of our programs are 100% in English. So this has been the strategy supported by Jean-Philippe Ameux, who of course has been also visiting Africa and supporting Africa. We've had professors also in and out. So what we look for is a win-win relationship. I think that's something that Africa needs. There's no longer the Africa that's needy, that's waiting for others to take them by the hand. I think that's something that a lot of people tend to forget when they want to work with Africa. And I also think that the first thing that I tell people is Africa is not a country. So let's start by that. So yeah, very lucky to be able to pursue this vision and mission at ESEG. Our mission is empower change makers for a better society, and I think that's perfectly aligned with what we're doing in Africa. And that's also been supported by, of course, the academic side, which is extremely important, the research. Caroline Roussel has been also very supportive. So I guess when it comes to working with Africa, you need to have an engagement and involvement of all stakeholders of the school to be able to really make things happen. So I'm sure you have more questions about that, the how and the why. But yeah, this is pretty much my role within ESEG. And yeah, we have a lot of new projects coming up. So yeah, tune in.
Yeah, you basically taken away the second question I had in mind, because as you said, obviously double degree program, it's the natural cooperation, but as you indicated, it seems to be going beyond just offering double degrees. And Would you mind telling us a bit more about that, and then maybe giving us some hints of those projects you just mentioned that are in the pipeline?
Yes, sure. So when it comes, when I say double degree programs, maybe it's the easy formula to describe it, but I think the first step is to really listen to the partner. You cannot sign a partnership and consider that it's going to be the same sample to every partner that you're going to meet, depending on the geography. That's, to me, would be a first misconception about the market, either African or Latin American, whoever you're going to work with. It takes a lot of trust. It takes some time to get to know the partner and to try to meet their needs, and and to see how you can be innovative, how you can be disruptive, even though we have to take into account that we are in a conservative industry. I mean, the disruption has its limit, but I think there's a lot of room for innovation, especially when it comes to the content. I think the coronavirus crisis has been very positive in that sense, is that we're all moving, we're more flexible, and that's always been also our asset at YESAG, is that we can switch situations quickly, we can adapt quickly, and I think agility is definitely one of the major, I think, issues and also assets of a lot of companies during this coronavirus. So for us, when I say double degree, it could be integrated program, it could be joint program. We look at the partner's need, depending on their type of program, if the bachelor is on 2 years, if the bachelor is in 4 years. And we do a lot of work of, I wouldn't call it due diligence, but we do have also internal process in order to establish that trust with the partner. I think that's very important, to also see the quality, the governance is extremely important, the ethics, everything that matters to us, we look for it in a partner. I would say it's like marriage or a relationship. You cannot be exactly the same version of your partner or your spouse or husband, but you do need that major solid ground, common ground of values. And I think that's extremely important to us at YESAG. So once we do that step, what we look for is, how can we offer something different? How can we look at the portfolio of our programs and think of something innovative? It could be about a major that does not exist at the partners. That happens a lot. For example, when it comes to finance, certain subjects of finance that don't exist necessarily everywhere in the world. We are very lucky to have not only the Programme Grand École specialized in finance, but also the MSc in finance. We're based in La Défense. So we're really at the heart of finance in Europe. So it does help. So I think that, just listening a lot, trying to keep in mind that it has to be a win-win relationship, and being flexible and being very also, I will say, firm on the process. The process has to be very solid. We have a quality team that also works very closely with us to establish the mapping of programs. So when you work with, if you want to establish a draft, you must make sure that it's aligned with your programs. If you're going to have equivalences, everything that's related to the mapping it's vital, not only for you as an institution, because obviously you need to have some sense in the pedagogy, but also for accreditations as well. As you know, it's not the direct message, but we're all, as a triple crown institution, we also have our mandate, and it's important. And it's actually not even about the accreditation itself, because it's been the way we function for so many years. But I'm not saying the process are all perfect. It grows with you, it grows with the partner, but you have to have that continuous work of developing the process in a way that makes it agile, but at the same time very pedagogy oriented and inclusive. I think it's very important to include all of the stakeholders of the school. As an international relations team, I always have the feeling that we belong to everyone in a school. meaning that we're a hub. We really have to make sure to include our colleagues from executive education, for example. When you talk to a partner, of course, they're going to know local, they're going to have a stronger local corporate ties than you being in Europe. So why not develop common learning expeditions, executive education programs, corporate partnerships, really going beyond just that partnership and try to involve everyone. It makes the partnership stronger. It makes more people set in ties, not just you and the international relations team there. And it really makes the family bigger. And I think that's really the best way to see a partnership, not just a signed paper somewhere in a drawer, but more a real partnership that's living and that's growing and that's getting more exposure and visibility over time.
Mm-hmm. On that note, maybe one focus I'd like to get or some insights from you is, who are typically the students on those double degrees that leverage those partnerships? Are they naturally more students from France who take an interest in potentially working with or on the continent, or is it students from Africa with an interest in Europe, or is it a 50-50 mix? Could you share some insights on that?
Yeah, sure. So I'll start by saying that we've always done an in and out type of, let's say, mobility. And that's something that I'm very proud of at ESAG, is that we do have an exchange program that's quite active with our African partners, meaning that every semester we send our students from France to African partners where they spend a semester. Sometimes they spend 2 semesters, and that's very important, I think, to us. And on the other hand, the programs which are I will say the degree seeking program and the joint programs are for mostly our students at our partners network who want to pursue either a specialization that does not exist there, or who wanted to have an international exposure. Most of them don't have necessarily that Europe focus. They mostly think international. And I think that's something that's changing with this new generation of Africans. A lot of them do not have necessarily the same vision of international as their parents, where France was the focus. If you come from Francophone, UK, or if you come from Anglophone, I think that they really see the world much bigger than me as an African we did. And I think it's very refreshing to see that they're very open to Asia, they're very open to China, they're very open to all of the rest of the world. Really, they're very mobile, and they live off the internet, so they know what's out there. They want to discover it themselves. So their expectations are different when it comes to the choice of a business school. They do not look for a place, they look for the program. They're very demanding when it comes to the courses, the network, everything that's surrounding the life of the school, the association, the life at the city, or the mentality, I will say, of the school that they're going to choose. So it's very interesting to also adapt to these new demands, which I think are very similar to what most European students also do. I think that's a universal language and universal ambitions of this new generation, and we have to be able to fulfill that. So these programs also come in support for this need of a lot of African students coming into from these programs who are looking mostly for specializations that don't exist back home, and who were going anyway to leave home. Now they rather come into this partnership that is a safer, solid way to be able to pursue their studies. And I think also a lot of parents, they'd rather let their kids study at home for 2 or 3 years in Africa, in their home country, and then let them be more mature to have that international experience after. So it makes less time, less expensive. So what you will invest, for example, in a 5-year program, you just save enough and invest in those 2 years, and you can have also, you can be very quickly on the job market. So it really makes sense for the African students coming from these partners to come to us in these programs as well.
Mm-hmm. As you mentioned, obviously ESSEC Triple Crown School, and if we look at the continent, we've seen an increasing number of schools becoming members at one or multiple of these 3 bodies. I think we're nearing roughly 50 schools on the continent in various constellations. Where do you see the market of business schools, international business schools on the continent at the moment, and so what do you think sort of is the status quo and where is it heading?
About accreditation in general?
Yeah.
That's a very interesting topic. Actually, a lot of very interesting papers have been written on that, and I'm thinking of one of Marta Vasquez actually. I think that what's interesting is that it's not more of the African schools that are changing their view about accreditation, because I think that a lot of them are very aware of quality assurance in general, and they have very, very strict local accreditations as well. Most of the African business schools have extremely demanding government accreditation to be recognized by the states is a very solid. And I will also invite a lot of European partners to look at those accreditations as a sort of criteria to work with African business schools, because it really has its value as well. And to work with the local ministries is also very empowering for our partners. When it comes to the most known international accreditations, I will say that it's more ACSB, EFMD. I've seen them doing a lot of work, going and walking towards the African network, supporting the African partners, trying to see how they can adapt not the standards to them, but to make them more inclusive. And I've seen that if you look at the change of standards at ACSB, if you look at the EDAF program with EFMD, there are more options now for the African business schools than it was 3 or 5 years ago. And I must say, I salute those efforts from those main accreditation bodies, because it's showing that it's working. If you look at lately, 2 Moroccan business schools have been awarded the ACSB accreditation, ESCA and Université Internationale de Rabat. You see also the MSB in Tunis who's been awarded the EPAS and who's going through other processes as well. So you see that there's a change. GIBS that's been awarded EQUIS just yesterday. So all of them proud partners of ESSEC. So I'm very happy about that. I think that if we grow together, it just makes us stronger, as all of us as an industry. And I think the message is that's coming out of those accreditation bodies that I've had the chance to be working with, as I'm in the Africa Conference Committee for EFMD, and I'm also co-chair of the ACSB Africa Regional Network. I think the message is, come to us, you can do it. We're gonna help you, we're gonna support you. There's a mentoring program. I think it's a scary process even for schools with more resources. So the idea is to say, look at those success stories, look at schools that started from scratch. You can do it. It might not be an overnight, I will say, process, but it's going to change your institution and it's going to transform the way you also make business, basically, and it has an impact, a real impact on the recruitment, on all of the other aspects of any business school. So I think that what's more interesting is how the accreditation bodies are really doing a lot of efforts moving towards the African business schools. The African business schools, in my opinion, have always been ready and very willing to go into the process. What's really a factor is the cost, obviously, because as you know, it takes some budgeting, it takes some preparation, financial preparation, etc. So all of that, I think, is starting to be more structured, to be starting to be more, I think, less scary, more accessible. And I'm sure and I'm confident that in the next couple of years, you will see more and more African business schools accredited with the international accreditation, ACSB, EFN, EQUACE, and AMBA. And I must salute also some local initiatives. As you know, there's the African Association of Universities. There's also ABS who are doing some great job trying to refresh, trying to move towards the community. And I think that's also that combined with the international accreditation, I think it creates a really healthy environment for more African business schools going towards the quality assurance journey.
Mm-hmm. Maybe one final question to sort of looking into the glass ball. If you take the outside perspective on the continent, there seem to be certain hubs on the continent where you have more than just one school already being accredited, being a shining example of great quality. And as an outsider, those hubs seem to be South Africa, Egypt, Morocco, Senegal. You just mentioned Tunisia as well, obviously, but there's just one school at the moment. Yeah. For looking forward, where do you see potential schools or countries on the continent where you say these are areas, regions to look out for on the continent that we will have on the map very soon with some very promising projects happening at the moment?
Well, I see a lot of interesting projects, for example, in Mauritius. I see a lot of interesting projects in Rwanda, Ghana. Algeria also is really trying to be more present and to be part of the community, and that's great news. I think that in general, people say Africa is the future. I see Africa is actually the present, and things are moving forward. It's just that it takes some time for, like you say, when it comes to accreditation, it takes a decade to get to sometimes to an EQUACE accreditation or to an ACSB accreditation, and it's okay. It's really not a race. I think it's about the journey, really, and that's what most of the accreditation bodies tell you, is that really, if you start thinking of accreditation as a final objective, then you get it wrong. You really need to understand that it's going to take some time, and it's okay. So these, I see these countries. Rwanda is a very interesting case. I cannot wait to travel actually there. Very interesting schools, and also very solid government policy. I think the institutional support is very important. When I say institutional, I'd rather say institutional than political, because it does change when you have a government that's supportive of quality assurance, of local accreditation, of collaboration. I will also say that a lot of programs, and I think it would be interesting in the future to collaborate, is those community circles like the African Union. I know the World Bank has a lot of programs. I know the GBSN, for example, does a lot of work with them, and I think I also salute their excellent job in the continent. So all those stakeholders all together, combining efforts, I'm sure that you will see in the next couple of years more and more schools being more visible to us from our European perspective or American perspective, but they are already there. When you look at Ghana, when you look at Rwanda, Algeria, a lot of actors are doing an excellent job, and they're more and more interested in being part of the community. And I think, like we say, Axel, all the time, it's really, it comes back to that. To being part of the community, especially in our industry, is vital, because that's what makes your work visible. That's what makes you grow from other experiences. And that's how we also sign partnerships, because it's the human factor is undeniable.
That sounds like the perfect summary of our talk. So thank you for sharing all your insights, Hanane. And I think from all those great insights you just shared also towards the end, sounds like we need to do a follow-up in a couple of years to see where we are then.
Yes,
So,
I would love to.
yeah. So thank you very much, Hanane, for taking the time today and sharing your insights with us. It's been very insightful. Thank you.
Thank you, Axel. I would like to thank ACADEM, you, Benjamin, for the excellent job that you do also with, you're like the backup. We don't see you, but you're the stars behind, and we know that any accreditation journey also comes with solid partners like you, like ACADEM, and I know that you've been also very supportive of the Africa Network and also willing to customize, to tweak the needs and to understand also the realities and the financial also differences of resources between partners and to adapt to that. And I think it really comes to that, to a lot of, I think, come in with a real project, having the resilience and having the heart to make things work and always be authentic, because that you cannot replace that. And I think being inclusive and being supportive of your partner is the best way to make it work. We either grow together or we don't. So that's the advice I would give. And thank you for having me. I come back anytime.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you very much, Hanane.
Bye-bye.